Hey guys, so yesterday I went to Sephora because Rihanna, as you may or may not know, has started her own makeup line. And it's very rare that products nowadays come in store and online the same day. Like usually you have to wait to get them in store, but it did launch in store and online the same day, so I would rather just go to the store and swatch things and look at things and you know, get a better feeling for the quality of the products. So that's what I did last night. I forced Ricky to come with me. And I mean, I was excited about this makeup launch. I feel like not that many things in makeup nowadays really excite me, as negative as that sounds. It's just like, I don't know, brands just keep coming out with the same things over and over again. But this I was very excited for. And I mean, haven't we all had umbrella stuck in our head for the last 12 years? I picked up some things, so I will show you what I got first. I got some other things too, but I will save that for a haul later. So I got the Fenty Beauty Match Stick. This is the matte skin stick. So this is actually like a contour stick. I hope the color is okay. And then I also got the Fenty Beauty Pro Filter Soft Matte Longwear Foundation. I was very excited to pick this up, and I was glad that they had a lot of the colors, at least, if not all of them, in store. This is what the bottle looks like. The packaging is really nice. The plastic lid is a little chintzy because you can definitely like squeeze it and it's not like crazy great quality, but I do like the look and the simplicity of the bottle. It is a nice frosted glass bottle and it just says Fenty Beauty across the front of it. So I will try that. Oh, and I got the color 190. So we'll see. I did put some on my neck in Sephora and then waited for it to dry because I've heard that it does oxidize a little bit, and that's the color that I ended up going with. I hope it works out because we all know what the lighting is like in Sephora. I mean, it's really not the best, which is crazy because that's where the lighting should be the best so that people can actually like test things out. And then I also got the Fenty Beauty Gloss Bomb. Yeah, it's the lip gloss. And this is what it looks like. Sorry about my nails. I'm getting my nails done today. I was doing them myself for a good like 2 to 3 months and I just can't take it anymore. So this is what the gloss looks like, and nice packaging. It has this mirrored lid, plastic bottom, and I think the color is just Fenty Glow, but it's this like beigey, you guys hear Sunny? It's this beigey, kind of like a beigey rose colored warm gloss with glitter in it. So we'll see how that feels. Oh, and then I also, I was going back and forth between the primer, and the girl was like, let me just make you a sample of it. So I am going to try out the primer with the foundation today. It's the Fenty Beauty, I think it's called the Filter Primer. So I just got a little sample of it. But the packaging of that one looked very similar to the foundation, so it looked like nice packaging as well. I'm excited about this because I think Rihanna is just super cool. Like, I wish I could be as cool as Rihanna, let's be honest. Okay, so I'm going to put on the, what is this called? Primer first, and I've already washed and moisturized my face. It kind of has this like pinky beige color to it, and it feels, I tested it on my hand yesterday, and it does feel very soft, like it makes your skin feel very soft, and definitely moisturized too. So I'm hoping that this is going to be okay for my oily AF skin, but I guess time will tell. I figure, like, usually when I test out new foundations, I just use the Hourglass Mineral Veil Primer because that's my favorite of all time, and I want to kind of compare apples to apples, like I've said a million times before. But because this primer is supposed to be paired with this foundation, I thought I'd give it a shot. So it feels a little tacky, and it does feel a little, dare I say, greasy. I mean, that makes it sound so negative, but it definitely feels like a moisturizing primer. The consistency of it kind of reminds me of the Becca, what's that, like brightening, like luminizing primer? The one that comes in a bottle that kind of looks like this. I forget the name of it, but you guys know what I'm talking about. But it doesn't, it's not like pore filling or anything like that. So hopefully it helps the foundation last longer because I'm not seeing any like filtering effects from the primer. So glad I got a sample of that one first, but who knows, maybe it'll be really good with the foundation. Oh, I forgot to mention this one too. So then I also got the Fenty Beauty Kilowatt highlighting duo, so we'll test that one out. And the color that I got in this is Mean Money and Hustler Baby. I mean, like, I can't even say those words and sound cool. I just can't. So I think what I'm going to do with the foundation is I'm going to pump a little bit on my palette here, and then I think I'm going to use a brush on one side and a beauty blender on the other side. So I just pumped about 3 pumps on my palette here, and I didn't get the brush because I'm very picky about brushes, and I just wanted to wait on buying that until I heard more reviews on it. So I'm going to use my trusty little Hourglass foundation brush here and dip in there, and I will do the brush side over here. I'm like super pale right now, but this is 190 is supposed to be, like, this looks really yellow and white. Oh dear God. Now the consistency of it, I wouldn't say it's really runny, I wouldn't say it's moussey or thick. But I also wouldn't say it's the easiest to blend out. Like, I think it's taking a little bit of work to blend. But anything that's soft matte, I'm all for. The shade in real life looks pretty good, but on camera it does look very yellow compared to my neck. But I think that might just be because of the lighting here. This feels heavy, and so maybe I just put too much on, and I also don't feel like it's concealing. I don't feel like it's emphasizing pores, but I also don't feel like it's hiding pores, or I don't feel like it has any sort of blurring properties, at least on my skin. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to use my Hourglass Mineral Veil Primer on this side of my face and see if that helps it a little bit. And then we'll see if using a beauty blender on this side helps a little bit too with the, like, not making it look so heavy. Okay, so I'm gonna let that just dry down just a little bit, and then we'll go in and put the foundation with the beauty blender on this side of my face. And I'm gonna take the rest of what I pumped out on my palette to begin with and put it on my beauty blender, and then just kind of blend this into the skin. So Rihanna came out with a foundation brush and a beauty sponge, so I'm not sure which one is meant for applying the foundation. I didn't look that far into it, so maybe the sponge or a sponge would be better. Okay, so you definitely get less coverage on this side with the sponge, so let me do one more pump and see if that helps. And I'm not even going to use the full pump. I use maybe like a fourth of the pump and put that on the sponge. But with the sponge, it definitely looks way less cakey, and so just way less heavy. It looks much more lightweight, much more natural, and that's usually the look that I'm going for, like for a daily look. Oh my gosh, I look so white. I promise this will all be fixed in a second. Well, I do like the beauty blender side better just for everyday wear and making it look more natural, and especially like it much better than the primer, and I prefer to use this Hourglass Mineral Veil Primer. So on the other side, what I'm going to do is go in with a beauty sponge, this is a beauty blender, and try to soak up some of that excess to see if that helps a little bit, especially in the areas where it looks really heavy, which is right in here. So I don't know if you can tell, but right here, my pores are extremely visible and almost accentuated. That primer really didn't do anything for my pores. But this side with the Mineral Veil Primer, I hope it's coming across on camera, looks a lot more blurred in my problem area with pores. So I much prefer using a beauty sponge and the Hourglass Mineral Veil Primer to using a brush and that other primer. But I do think that if I would have gone in with the Hourglass Mineral Veil Primer all over and then put it on with a brush and then gone over it with a beauty sponge to just kind of soak up any excess, that would have been great, and I would have gotten great coverage and more smooth results. Okay, so I did powder my face, but I stayed away from this area right here because I want to use that contour stick. But I will say that with this powder, now it's starting to look more smooth and filtered. And I would still, even though they say you don't have to powder your face or set your face without foundation, I would still do that because I have such oily skin. But still, I'm loving this side that was used with the Beauty Blender and the Hourglass Mineral Veil more than this side. This side is just accentuating my pores. I will say that both sides, though, really did cover up the redness that I have on my face, and so that's definitely a plus. And it is definitely matte. There is no shine or anything to my skin right now, so it definitely looks flat. But, I mean, I would always fix that with highlighter or bronzer or anything like that, blush, just to kind of bring some dimension back to the face. So it does a really good job of covering. I would say that it is like medium to full. The medium would be more the Beauty Blender side, and then the full would be the brush side. So I am pretty impressed with the foundation, but I am going to do a wear test throughout the day, so I'll check in with you guys a little bit later to see how it wears. So now I'm going to go ahead and open up this matchstick. The packaging on this is pretty cool. It is magnetic, so if you buy, there's a set that you can get, or you can just buy them individually, but if you buy a few of them, they will stick together because of the magnet. So it's just this like nude packaging, and then it says Fenty Beauty across the side of it. So this is the contour stick, and I'm going to twist, okay. To me, that does not look like a lot of product, but it is definitely wider. You know, it's not super thin. So let me go ahead and see how much is actually in. There is 7.10 grams of product in here. Let me look at my Anastasia Beverly Hills contour stick and see how much product there is in there. It looks like there's actually about the same because the Fenty Beauty one is wider, but let's go ahead and take a look. So that is them next to each other. I would say that it's probably pretty close to the same amount, but I will go ahead and put the information right in the bottom right here, so that way you can see and kind of compare pricing. And for this contour stick, I got the color Mocha. That's what the girl at Sephora recommended. I was going to get the lighter one that was a little bit more ashy, but the lighter one is definitely ashy. Like, that one looks gray. So it's going to be a pretty intense contour. It's definitely going to provide that shadow because it was very gray. But let's go ahead and, I'm scared. Let's go ahead and try to place some of this right here. And I don't know how fast this is going to dry, so let me go ahead and start blending this out. I'll do it with a Beauty Blender. Okay, so the Beauty Blender isn't doing anything. Let me go ahead and go in with my foundation brush. The contour stick feels kind of like sticky in a weird way. Okay, so that looks a little bit better. I would definitely say blend it out with a foundation brush or some sort of brush instead of using the Beauty Blender. The consistency of it does feel pretty smooth. It doesn't feel too dry either. Like, it glides on pretty well, but it's not as creamy as, I'm trying to think of what is super creamy. Like, it's not as creamy as the Hourglass Vanish foundation stick, but it's not as dry as the Anastasia Beverly Hills one. So hopefully that gives you kind of an idea. But let's go ahead and do the forehead, because Lord knows I got a big forehead. So the color actually works out pretty good. I thought it was going to be way too warm for me because when I swatched it, I was like, ooh, I don't know. It's the color Mocha, if I didn't already mention that. But I thought it was going to be way too dark and just provide too much of a contour. It does take a little bit of work to blend out, though. I will say that. But at the same time, I feel like it looks pretty natural. Like, it doesn't look overwhelmingly chiseled out. I actually really like the contour stick. I love that. It's called the Matchstick, I think it was called. Where is it? Yeah, it's called the Matchstick. I like that. And then they came in, like, contour shades, but then it also came in, like, concealer shades. I don't know if I would use that as, like, a concealer because unless the formula is different for that, this seems too dry to use as a concealer, but I don't know. That's just me. I'm going to go ahead and do my bronzer and blush, and I will be right back. Okay, so now that I have a little bit of bronzer on, I didn't put any blush on because I don't know, don't feel like I need it today, but I do feel like the foundation matches a lot better, and it has oxidized, I'd say, about a shade. So if you go in-store and take a look at them, I would go with a shade lighter or wait until it dries on your skin to kind of match yourself that way. But so far, I'm actually really loving everything. Like, I love the foundation. I love the contour stick. Let's go ahead and try out this Killawatt Freestyle Highlighter Duo. So this is what the packaging looks like. Packaging looks pretty cool. It looks kind of like graffiti. And the colors that I got were, I already said that, Mean Money and Hustler Baby. So this is what the packaging looks like for these. It's kind of like this holographic, is it holographic? I don't know. Is it holographic or is it duochrome? Whatever. Holographic little 3-4 octagon shape. And it says Fenty Beauty across the front of it. And then in the back it does tell you what the shades are. So oh, it's not very easy to open though. So I got it open and it has just this little clear thing in there, and there is a mirror, and then it is stamped with Fenty Beauty. Let me try not to blind you on the mirror, which is pretty cool. So here is what the highlighter duo looks like. It's so pretty. I went with the gold shade one because I don't really have that many gold highlighters, believe it or not. So let me... They're both supposed to be highlighters, but one is much more subdued than the other one. So this is one side, and then this is the other side. So, and I was swatching something red earlier, so don't mind that. But as you can see, one is way more intense than the other one. This one right here, the formula, reminds me a lot of the Hourglass Ambient Strobe powders. So if you like those, then you might like the subtlety of this right here. And then this one is much more intense and metallic. And I found that to be true with all of the duos. There's one that's more subdued, and then there's one that's more intense. So we're going to use both. I'll start off with the more subdued one, and we'll see what that looks like. I'm going to grab my Wayne Goss number 2 brush, and I'm going to dip into this side right here, which this side is called Mean Money. And let's go in here. Okay, yeah, you can definitely see it. It's just one of those highlighters where it's not going to be like super intense. Like this would be a great highlighter if you want to highlight and go to work, or I don't know, if you work in a more professional environment and you don't want to have like a metallic highlight all the time, then this might be a good option. It is super pretty and much more minimal. So now I'm going to go in with Hustla Baby, and you can already tell on the brush there's a lot more product that picks up. Okay, yeah. That just intensified it a lot, so I'm hoping that you can see that and the camera really picks it up. I really like the color of this though. I think it, because it kind of it's like a peachy gold, it just looks really good on like my skin tone. Whoa, that looks intense on my nose right now. Let's blend that out a little bit. I'm just taking a wipe and kind of getting some of the foundation off my lips. Go ahead and finish off my under eye area, and then I will be back with the lip gloss. Okay, so I have my under eye area done, and before I put this highlighter away, I want to put some on my décolleté and see what that looks like. So I'll take this Real Techniques brush and dip into that highlighter. Let's put a little bit right here. Let's put a little bit right here. Now the thing about this highlighter is that there's not chunks. Well, maybe there are. There is glitter in it, but I don't see like specks of glitter on my face. So I wouldn't say that it's a glittery highlight, but you'll know like what I mean if you've used the Hourglass Ambient Strobe powders. Like those, when you swatch them, there's glitter in there, but then I don't ever find specks of glitter on my face when using that highlighter. So that's just something to think about. So if you really don't like the Hourglass Ambient Strobe powders, maybe this isn't the highlighter for you. Okay, so that actually looks really good. It's not like super metallic, and that's what I like about it. Like I don't really like a huge foiled highlighter anymore, most of the time. I mean, every now and then I'll go for it, but it's not like my everyday type of highlighter. Okay, so the last thing that I want to do is try out this lip gloss. This is in the color Fenty Glow. So I'll try it with just the lip gloss at first, and then I will put it on with a liquid lipstick and top it with this and see what happens. So it has a very large doe foot applicator, and oh my gosh, what does that smell? It smells sweet, but not like cookies. Airheads? I think it smells like Airheads. I think that's what it is. Okay, so it's a little bit tacky, but it's not anywhere near a MAC gloss in terms of stickiness. And at first it felt very thin going on, but it is a little bit of a thicker lip gloss. And it definitely looks clear on my lips, but the glitter in here, like you can definitely see shimmers inside in the tube when you're looking at it. But you would have to get really close to my lips to see any of those little shimmer particles. So if you're not a huge fan of a shimmery gloss, then you might still like this. And it feels super smooth on the lips. There's no glitter grit that you feel on your lips like with some other glittery lip glosses. This is really pretty. It's very high shine, so you can see like with the lights here, it's picking up the center of my mouth, which I really like. So I'm kind of digging the lip gloss. I'm going to go ahead and take it off though, and let's see how it works as a topper. So I'll go ahead and use an Anastasia liquid lipstick. This is in the color Crush. Okay, so now that it's pretty much dry, I'm going to go ahead and top it with the Fenty Beauty Lip Gloss and see what happens there. I do feel like you get a lot of product on this wand, so I'm going to go ahead and get some of the excess off of the wand before I apply it to my lips. It topped it really nice, so I'm going to check in with you guys a little bit later. We'll see how this holds up, because I know sometimes when you put lip glosses, depending on the formula, on top of a liquid lipstick, or any lipstick for that matter, the lipstick can sometimes kind of separate and just not look so good. So when I check in with you guys a little bit later, I will let you know how everything is holding up. But so far, I'm kind of in love. I'm impressed, Rihanna. I'm impressed. For somebody's like first makeup line to come out with so many products at one time, as well as good products, I think that that's pretty great. So I will go ahead and go about my day, and I will check in with you guys in a little bit. It is 12:36, and I finished my foundation at about like 9 o'clock. So 10, 11, 12, we'll just say about 3.5 hours. And, ooh, and I have some thoughts already. So let me grab my mirror so that I can get up close and personal with myself. If there's one thing that I think that you can skip so far, I'd say the highlighter. And the reason for that is because, yes, the second shade in there is very, like, whoa, it's very pretty. It is pigmented. I do think that it still shows texture on my skin, and I know that most highlighters do, but I have found highlighters that don't show texture on the skin that still show up. So I don't know. I love the color of it. I do think that it just shows a lot of texture. And because of that, I feel like it looks a little bit patchy because it's not going on a very smooth surface, if that makes sense, because my skin is not like perfectly smooth, especially in that area. So that's just something to keep in mind. I love the foundation. I think it is great. It's got great coverage. It covers up my imperfections. As long as I use the Hourglass Mineral Veil Primer and I set it with a good powder, it doesn't emphasize pores or anything like that. It's not breaking up. I'm not super oily right now. And I think that it's a great foundation. I do think that it has to be used with a beauty blender, at least the way that I like to wear foundation. Like on the side where I used a brush, I just think that it looks much more cakey, and that's becoming more and more evident as the day goes on because it's seeping into my fine lines. So you'll see that the side that I used a beauty blender on, it's not really seeping into that smile line right there, but it is on the other side. So that's just something to keep in mind. But overall, I do think that the foundation is really, really nice. But I will also say that the contour stick, the match stick, that's one of my standout products that I purchased. I just think that it looks really good. I think the color is pretty good for my skin tone as well. And it's not too cut. You know what I mean? Like it looks like, I don't know, it looks more realistic than some other contours that I've seen in the past. So I think that that is probably my favorite item out of the things that I purchased. The lip gloss is actually staying on my lips really well. I've had coffee and I've eaten breakfast since I filmed that video, and it's still on. So I think that that's a pretty good sign. I'm not saying that like a lip gloss should last 10 hours on your lips because I just don't think that that's very realistic. But it is for a lip gloss lasting a pretty decent amount of time. So I'm happy with it. I'm happy with everything so far. I just think that if of the things that I've tried, if there's one thing that you can skip out on, I'd say that it's the highlight. Because although you are getting two in here, I mean, this one over here doesn't really show up that well. And so I just think that it's something that you could easily just pass on because there are, like, the market is flooded with highlighters. So there's tons that you could choose from, and I wouldn't say that this is like a must-have. So I'll see you guys in a little bit. Okay, so this is gonna be my final check-in. It is 4:32, so it's almost 8 hours, about 7.5 hours. I'm impressed. Like, I'm really impressed. I have not blotted, but I know if I did blot, there would be oil. Let me see, I have some tissue here. I don't have any blotting papers up here. I know that there would be oil, but it's not like total grease ball oil. So let's, it's actually not that bad. So like I said, there is a little bit of oil, but it's not an overwhelming amount of oil. My foundation is still totally intact. It hasn't broken up anywhere. The only part that it's broken up a little bit is on my nose, and that's because I was rubbing my nose earlier. But the contour is still on, my bronzer is still on, like everything's still there. I'm super impressed. I think that this is an A+ foundation. It is soft matte, it is fuller coverage, it is long wearing, that's for sure. So I have nothing bad to say about this foundation. The only thing is I don't think the primer is really all that great. And the highlighter is like, meh, like it's okay. But the contour stick or the match stick, the gloss is really nice too. And the foundation are an A+ in my book. So that is my final check-in and my review of the Fenty Beauty line. If you guys have any questions, let me know down below. Are you going to pick up anything from this line? Have you already picked up things from this line? If you have, or if you plan on it, let me know what you're thinking of getting down below. And I will see you guys in my next video. Bye guys!